First contact in the wilderness. The twin moons of Alosia cast long, wavering shadows across the purple grasslands as Nadia Reeves adjusted her atmospheric scanner. 6 weeks into her expedition, and the planet's ecosystem continued to surprise her. Tall, spiral-shaped plants swayed in the gentle evening breeze, releasing luminescent spores that danced in the air like fireflies. Oxygen levels stabilizing, she mumbled to herself, recording the data on her wrist device. Nitrogen slightly elevated compared to Earth standard, but well within breathable parameters. As a leading xenobiologist for the Interstellar Research Coalition, Nadia had explored 17 exoplanets, but Alosia was different. The planet seemed to pulse with life in ways that defied conventional understanding. Plants responded to sound. Animals communicated through color changes. The entire ecosystem behaved almost like a single organism. A soft chirping sound pulled her attention to a nearby cluster of crystalline formations. Between the glittering structures, a creature about the size of a fox observed her with 6 iridescent eyes. Its skin shifted from deep blue to curious purple as it tilted its head. "Hello there," Nadia said softly, slowly reaching for her imaging device. "Aren't you fascinating?" The creature's skin rippled with bands of yellow light before it darted behind the crystals. Nadia followed, careful not to make sudden movements. In her experience, most alien fauna was more curious than dangerous, most, but not all. As she rounded the crystal formation, the creature had disappeared, but something else caught her eye: footprints. Human footprints. Nadia frowned. She was supposed to be the only IRC researcher on this quadrant of Alosia. The nearest outpost was over 200 kilometers away, and no expeditions were scheduled for this region. A twig snapped behind her. "You really shouldn't be out here alone," said a deep voice. Nadia spun around, hand instinctively moving to the pulse pistol at her hip. A man stood there, tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair cut short and a jawline that looked like it was carved from stone. He wore a gray expedition suit without IRC insignia, and a strange metallic device hung at his belt. "I could say the same to you," Nadia replied, not removing her hand from her weapon. "This is a protected research zone." "Who are you and what are you doing here?" The man raised his hands in a placating gesture, though the smile on his face showed no concern. "Riker Vaughn. Independent explorer and, occasionally, collector of interesting artifacts." He gestured to the device at his belt. "Just mapping some terrain and taking samples." "Without clearance?" "This planet is under IRC protection. You can't just wander around collecting artifacts." Riker shrugged. "The IRC doesn't own the galaxy, Dr. Reeves. And the IRC might not own the galaxy, but they do have exclusive research rights to Alosia." "Bureaucracy," he said with a dismissive wave. "I'm just a curious soul with a passion for discovery." "Same as you, I'd wager." Something about his easy confidence made Nadia wary. Independent explorers were usually either scientists fleeing institutional constraints or treasure hunters looking for valuable alien technology to sell on the black market. Riker struck her as the latter. "You should leave," she said firmly. "There are dangerous predators active during the night cycle." As if on cue, a low, vibrating hum filled the air. The crystal formations around them began to glow with an internal light, pulsing in rhythm with the sound. "That's not normal," Riker said, his casual demeanor slipping. Nadia checked her scanner. "Energy readings are spiking. This entire area is becoming electromagnetically active." The ground beneath them trembled slightly. In the distance, where the grassland met a line of massive fern-like trees, something large moved in the gathering darkness. "Maybe we should continue this conversation elsewhere," Riker suggested, eyes fixed on the movement. "There's a research shelter 2 kilometers east," Nadia said reluctantly. "We can wait there until morning." But before they could move, the creature from earlier reappeared. It chirped urgently, its skin now blazing red with anxiety. It darted a few meters away, then looked back expectantly. I think it wants us to follow, Nadia said. Riker raised an eyebrow. Following strange alien creatures into unknown territory. That usually ends poorly in my experience. The ground shook more violently now. The creature chirped again, more insistent. Something's coming, Nadia said, checking her scanner. Something big. The creature darted away, pausing to ensure they were following. With little choice, they pursued it through the crystal formation and into a dense patch of spiraling vegetation. The plants parted at their approach, creating a tunnel-like path. These plants are responding to the creature's biochemical signals, Nadia explained, unable to contain her scientific enthusiasm despite the circumstances. Fascinating, Riker replied dryly. Let's hope they're leading us to safety and not dinner. After several minutes of hurried travel, they emerged into a clearing dominated by a massive stone structure. The architecture was unlike anything Nadia had documented before, flowing curves and intricate patterns etched into material that resembled marble but gleamed with an inner light. This isn't in any of the survey data, she breathed, approaching the structure. Riker's eyes lit up with unmistakable interest. Now this is what I came for. The creature led them to an opening in the structure's side. Strange symbols glowed around the entrance, pulsing slowly in sequence. Wait, Nadia said, studying the symbols. This could be dangerous. These markings, they look like warnings. Riker was already approaching the entrance. Or instructions. Or a welcome message. You can't know without going in. You should be running, she warned. Whatever's coming this way is massive, and this structure might not be safe either. But he stepped closer to the entrance, his hand reaching out to touch the glowing symbols. Sometimes you have to risk danger to find something truly remarkable, Dr. Reeves. The symbols flared brightly at his touch. The ground shook once more, but this time, it wasn't from the approaching creature. The structure itself was responding. As darkness fell completely and the tremors intensified, Nadia made a choice. She followed Riker into the ancient structure, the fox-like creature at her heels. The entrance sealed behind them with a sound like a deep, satisfied breath. Inside, the air was cool and still. Light emanated from the very walls, revealing a vast chamber filled with technology that defied human understanding. And at the center, a pedestal holding what appeared to be a map of the stars, but with configurations Nadia had never seen before. What is this place? She whispered. Riker's eyes gleamed in the ethereal light. The beginning of something extraordinary. Outside, lightning cracked across the sky as a storm descended on the landscape. For better or worse, they were sealed inside until morning, a xenobiologist sworn to protect the planet's secrets and a treasure hunter intent on uncovering them. The creature settled between them, its skin now a calm blue, as if it had accomplished exactly what it intended. Beneath the surface. The ancient chamber hummed with energy that seemed to pulse through the very walls. Nadia circled the star map pedestal, her scanner recording readings that made little scientific sense. These energy signatures don't match any known elements, she murmured, brushing her fingers through her short auburn hair. And this stellar configuration, it's not our galaxy. Riker stood on the opposite side, his eyes reflecting the holographic stars. Not our time either, he said quietly. Nadia looked up sharply. What do you mean? He gestured toward a particular cluster of stars. That's the Pleiades formation, but see how it's positioned. That alignment only existed about 50,000 years ago. His voice had lost its cavalier tone, replaced by scholarly precision that surprised her. You're an astronomer, she asked skeptically. A small smile played at the corner of his mouth. Among other things. The line between scientist and treasure hunter isn't as clear as the IRC would have you believe. Thunder crashed outside, reverberating through the structure. The fox-like creature, which Nadia had started mentally calling Prism, due to its color-changing abilities, chirped softly and nudged at a circular depression in the floor near the pedestal. I think our guide is still trying to tell us something, Nadia said, approaching the depression. Within it lay a crystalline object similar to the formations outside, but perfectly spherical and pulsing with inner light. "Don't touch that," Riker warned, suddenly alert. He moved quickly to her side. "At least, not without knowing what it does first." Nadia gave him a pointed look. "That's rich coming from the man who walked straight into an alien structure without hesitation. Calculated risks, Dr. Reeves. I've seen similar artifacts before." "Where?" Riker hesitated, then sighed. 3 other planetary systems. Each time in structures almost identical to this one, though never this well preserved. Nadia felt a chill that had nothing to do with the chamber's cool air. "You didn't come here by chance. You knew this was here." "Not exactly," he admitted. "I knew Alosia had potential based on its astronomical position. These structures appear on worlds in specific orbital configurations." "And what happens when you find these artifacts? What are they for?" Instead of answering, Riker knelt beside the crystal sphere. "They're connectors, pieces of a vast network that spans dozens of star systems. The beings who built them, whoever they were, created a communication system that defied space and time." "Communication with whom?" Nadia pressed. "Each other, at first. Later, something else." He looked up at her, his eyes serious. "That's what I'm trying to find out." Prism chirped insistently, pawing at the sphere. "I don't think we have much choice now," Riker said grimly. "Whatever's hunting outside, this little guy seems to think our best option is in here." The structure trembled as something massive collided with its exterior. A deep, resonant bellow penetrated the walls, a sound that made Nadia's skin prickle with primordial fear. "What is that?" she whispered. "Elosia's apex predator, I'd guess," Riker replied. "The IRC reports mention something the survey team called behemoths, territorial creatures the size of small buildings." Nadia looked from the sphere to the sealed entrance. "Between unknown alien technology and a confirmed predator." "I'll take the unknown," Riker finished, reaching for the sphere. "Wait," Nadia said, grabbing his wrist. Their eyes met, his dark and determined, hers bright with scientific caution. "Together. So neither of us can blame the other for what happens next." A rare genuine smile crossed his face. "Deal." They placed their hands on the sphere simultaneously. The crystal warmed beneath their touch, then emitted a pulse of blue-white light that expanded throughout the chamber. The star map above them shifted, stars realigning into a new configuration. The walls of the chamber became transparent, revealing not the purple grasslands of Alosia, but a vast network of glowing lines connecting distant stars, a cosmic web made visible. "It's beautiful," Nadia breathed. "It's a transportation network," Riker said, his voice hushed with awe. "Each node represents a structure like this one. Thousands of them, spread across the galaxy." The floor beneath them began to glow with the same intensity as the sphere. Prism chirped excitedly, its skin shimmering with rainbow patterns. "Riker," Nadia said slowly, "what exactly do you do with these artifacts when you find them?" His expression darkened. "I collect data. That's all. Others. They extract the technology, sell it to private interests. The crystals alone can power small cities. And those private interests don't care about the ecological impact of removing pieces of what appears to be a planetary defense system," she concluded angrily. Another impact shook the structure, stronger than before. Cracks appeared in the ceiling. "We need to decide," Riker urged. "This mapping function is just the beginning. These chambers can move people instantly across vast distances. Or their weapons," Nadia countered. "Or traps. We don't know." The ground beneath them hummed more intensely. Prism darted to a secondary console that had risen from the floor, its paws dancing across symbols that lit up at its touch. "I think our friend is familiar with the technology," Riker observed. Nadia approached cautiously. "Is Prism activating it or shutting it down?" "Neither," Riker said, studying the console. It's sending a message. The star map shifted again, focusing on a single point of light that expanded to reveal another structure, identical to theirs but occupied by creatures similar to Prism, gathered around their own console. They're still here, Nadia whispered in amazement. The builders, or their descendants? Riker looked stunned. In all my searches, I never found evidence they still existed. A series of musical tones filled the chamber, emanating from the distant structure. Prism responded with chirps that matched the rhythm perfectly. They're asking if we're the ones who've been dismantling the network, Riker translated, his expression grim. Apparently, several key nodes have gone dark in recent years. Nadia turned to him accusingly. Your private interests? Not mine, he insisted. I study the network. I don't destroy it. But yes, others have been extracting the technology, companies, governments, anyone who can fund an expedition. Another impact rocked the chamber. The cracks spread. We need to tell them we're not responsible, Nadia urged. That we can help stop it. How? We can't speak their language. Nadia approached the console where Prism worked. Maybe we don't need to. She pulled up her research data on her wrist device and projected it into the air, images of Alosia's ecosystem, her careful cataloging of species, her protective protocols. Then she pointed at Riker's equipment. Understanding her intent, he reluctantly added his own data, maps of the network he'd compiled, evidence of extraction operations he'd documented but never participated in. The beings in the distant structure observed silently. Then, as one, they placed their paws on a sphere identical to the one in Nadia and Riker's chamber. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly. The walls solidified again, and the console retracted into the floor. Prism chirped sadly. Did we fail? Nadia asked. Before Riker could answer, the sphere between them pulsed once more. A holographic interface appeared, displaying what looked like a key, complex and beautiful. It's access to the network, Riker said, his voice tight with emotion. They're trusting us with it. To do what? To restore the damaged nodes. To protect what remains. He looked at her, his expression earnest. I've spent years searching for this, not to exploit it, but to understand it. This network could revolutionize how we travel, communicate, understand the universe. The chamber shuddered again as the creature outside continued its assault. Parts of the ceiling began to crumble. We need to leave, Nadia said urgently. Can this thing get us out of here? Riker studied the key interface. Yes, but we need to choose a destination. Anywhere safer than here. He hesitated. There's more, Nadia. This key, it's coded to us now. Both of us. We're responsible for what happens next. Their eyes met across the fading light of the sphere. In his gaze, she saw not the treasure hunter she'd first suspected, but a man standing at a crossroads, just as she was. Then we'll be responsible together, she decided. You know the network. I know how to protect ecosystems. Between us, maybe we can undo some of the damage. The chamber gave a final violent shake. Large sections of ceiling collapsed around them. Prism leapt onto Nadia's shoulder, chirping frantically. Riker reached across the sphere, offering his hand. Partners, then. Nadia took it, feeling the unexpected warmth of his grip. Partners. He activated the key sequence. Light enveloped them as the chamber collapsed inward. The last thing Nadia saw was Riker pulling her closer, shielding her and Prism as reality itself seemed to fold around them. When the light faded, they stood in another chamber, identical but intact, on a world bathed in the light of a red giant star. Prism chirped happily, leaping down to explore. Where are we? Nadia asked, still processing the instantaneous journey. About 400 light-years from Alosia, Riker replied, looking equally disoriented. One of the undamaged nodes. As they stepped toward the chamber's exit, which opened onto a landscape of floating islands connected by living bridges, Nadia found herself still holding Riker's hand. "You know," she said with the first smile she'd given him, "when I warned you to run, this isn't exactly what I had in mind." He laughed, the sound warming something inside her. "I've found the best discoveries always come from stepping closer to danger, not running from it." As they emerged onto an alien world that no human had ever seen, with a mission that spanned galaxies and a partnership forged in crisis, Nadia thought that perhaps, just this once, he was right. Prism bounded ahead, skin shimmering with excited blues and purples, leading them toward whatever adventure awaited on this new world, the first stop on a journey to protect a legacy older than human civilization itself.